Hi, Jameson.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, so I see that we're live. I thought I'm waiting for it to count down on a ticker, but no, we are live. So I want to welcome everybody. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. As our guest today, we have Tomorrow Orsak with Allstate, and we're going to be talking about basically recovering from this storm from an insurance standpoint. So let's get started right away. Let's say we discovered an issue during all of this, a busted pipe, for example. At what point do you think we need to file a claim? What's the general process?
Okay, well, I want to start by also saying thank you for having me. I hope this information is very helpful. It is supposed to be educational in nature. I guess I want to put my disclaimer out there that you always need to check with your agent, your policy, or with your adjuster for any of these type of answers. So this is just really supposed to be helpful and in general, educational. So what happens if you have a claim? Where do you start? I would encourage you to find out what your deductible is, because a lot of times these type of perils are going to require you to meet your deductible first. So if your damages are only $1,000 and you have a $2,500 deductible, you may not need to go through that process of filing a claim. So I would start there. It is also recommended for you to maybe get an estimate, get 2 or 3 bids so you have an idea what that might be. Some people will know if it's just a little bit of damage or if it's a lot of damage, but those estimates help you actually throughout the whole process and give you kind of some, I don't know, tools and information ahead of time so you can be better prepared when you meet with the adjuster. Again, and just as a reminder, your agent is there to be there to help back up if you have any questions or concerns, but they're not able to give you any specific claim information and what will be covered. Only the adjuster can do that.
So yeah, you brought up an important point. It's first realizing how much the damage is to whether or not you even need to involve your insurance company. And,
right.
And
for sure.
With the number of people trying to get adjusters right now, that's probably especially important because you don't want to waste their time or your time.
Yeah, we've actually heard adjusters can have up to 35 different homes or claims that they're working on. So
okay. So we know that normally these events are fairly localized, and so people come in from the area and help with the adjusting and things like that. This was statewide. So what would you think is a fair and reasonable amount of time to expect to wait for an adjuster?
Right. This is a huge event. It is statewide, and I don't know how many it's affected, but it's thousands, probably tens of thousands, maybe even a million. We're recommending to our customers give the adjuster up to 3 days, but if you haven't heard from them in 3 days, especially if you're doing a good job and staying on top of your repairs and you're getting your contractors in place, give them up to 3 days. So be a little patient, but don't be too patient. And if you're still not getting anywhere, again, your agent is there to kind of be a backup for you and help this along this process.
Okay. So you can act as an expediter of sorts.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Great.
We're there to help support you as the customer, and we're here as a backup if you need us.
What in the situation is I've found somebody that I know does good work and they want to get started before the adjusters had a chance to do their thing. What do you recommend doing there?
And if you're lucky enough to get somebody in advance, I definitely would recommend moving forward. On the insurance company side, they definitely prefer to have the adjuster come out there before and in advance before you start making those repairs, because that adjuster is going to validate that this is a real claim. They did have real damages sustained, and they do need these repairs. But in the event that can't happen, the insurance company should understand and know that you need to move forward with the repairs. But you definitely need to take pictures. Take pictures before, during, and after. You can take videos, keep all your receipts, keep the damages. If you have a damaged pipe or carpet, rather than just throwing that away, I know you're going to want to. I wouldn't want to keep that laying around, but the insurance companies and the adjusters, they need to see that this damage is real and it exists. And it's definitely going to help make your claim go smoother.
Yeah, so documentation's key. Document
Documentation's
everything,
key.
video, and hold on to it. That's great advice.
Yes.
Thankfully, I think we're done with winter, but let's say we weren't and our houses were unlivable. Does the insurance typically cover hotel stays? What should we do if we feel like our residence at the time of this is unlivable?
Yes, there is something in your policy that's called additional living expenses. It may or may not be covered. That ultimately is going to be the decision of the adjuster. What I've seen that drives that decision is the question is your house unlivable? And unfortunately, a loss of power or loss of water pressure that many of us have experienced, that does not make your home unlivable. I don't think the adjuster is going to say that makes your home unlivable. Even if you have busted pipes and you have water in your house, that may not even make your home unlivable. If you decide to stay in a hotel, I would just say you are taking a risk and you may have to come with those expenses out of pocket. You may not. Again, that's probably why it would be really important to get an adjuster there as soon as possible so you can start getting some answers for that.
So if you end up paying for it yourself, you're basically paying for a comfort level rather than unlivable, what would be considered unlivable residence.
Right. I can't say for sure. That is, again, something you'd have to work directly with the adjuster. And again, that's my experience. The adjuster's going to be the say all, the end say all for that.
So I know a lot of people had effects and have very specific questions. So for example, everybody's refrigerator in League City pretty much went out. Are the contents of that or the refrigerator covered if you file a claim?
It could be. That is called food spoilage. What I've seen often, there are $500 limits, and sometimes the deductible will apply. So again, just kind of going back to that $2,500 deductible, it's just a rough number. But you do have to, sometimes the deductible may apply before the food spoilage kicks in. It may not. It just depends on your policy.
Now, this next question is one that I wish I had an answer for so I could have slept better through all this. My pool, is that covered? Because my I had a plan going in, and that was to run the generator, run it constantly. But when the power went out and it got to 15 degrees, I went out there and I could definitely see it freezing up. So is that usually covered?
Pools are a tough one. Don't mean to not answer this question directly, but the common questions are, do you have any type of additional pool coverage, any type of endorsements that you may have paid extra for? And if so, then you obviously need to see what those coverages include. Other questions that will be asked is, what kind of damage was done? How bad was the damage? What was damaged? Is the pool kind of connected to your house? Is it the same plumbing that's connected to the house, or is it separate plumbing? Is the foundation the same? Is it connected to the house, or is it a separate kind of a standalone pool? So those are some of the details that will probably help answer if your pool's going to be covered or not.
Yeah, and if we did make it through this okay, it's probably a good time right now to review that going forward to see if that's the type of thing that you're concerned about.
Right. It's nothing like having a real issue to make you pay a little bit better attention to your policy and what you have.
Yeah, and then this next question is really interesting to me because yesterday at the general membership luncheon, I was having lunch with the general manager of the Kima Boardwalk.
Okay.
And they had about $250,000 worth of landscape losses. So is landscape typically covered under your homeowner's insurance policy if you file a claim?
So insurance goes back to what is a covered peril. And so you have to look at what a covered peril is. If a car runs into your landscaping, a car loses control and runs over it, that's probably a covered peril. If a tree falls and causes damage to your house or the landscaping, that's probably a covered peril. sleet or frozen precipitation, ice, chances are that's not a covered peril. But again, it always goes back to your policy and what your policy says is a covered peril.
Okay, so there might be exceptions.
There might be.
Okay, and would that be one of those add-ons you could consider doing going forward, or?
It could be, yes.
Okay. I'm lucky. I don't really have much landscaping, so it doesn't affect me. But I've seen some beautiful yards that are very very brown right now.
Right. We got hit pretty hard too. We if people know me, they know I like my fruit trees and my garden and all the landscaping, and we got hit pretty hard too.
Yeah. So let's say I file a claim. What happens after that? Do my rates automatically go up, or is, kind of walk me through that?
In fact, no, your rate should not go up at renewal, and you cannot get non-renewed. You're actually protected. It's a state law that says you're protected, and your insurance company should not increase your rates because of this. Now, they may have general rate increases, but not specifically because you filed a claim for this hard freeze.
Okay, that's really comforting to know.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens if I get the adjuster out and I disagree with the assessment? What's my recourse at that point?
So again, going back to what I said at the beginning, having an estimate, that is really good because that estimate will kind of give you a ballpark idea of what kind of damages you have and how much those damages would cost. So on the front end, you have two different options. You can hopefully catch it on the front end before the final decision of the claim and work through it with the adjuster and the contractor, and you all kind of come together. If that doesn't work out and you have to do it on the back end, kind of after the claim's already been processed and you've been paid, often you can file a supplemental claim and go back and try to get additional money to cover those additional damages. But
Okay.
if you need to have your backup and you need to have your documentation and you need to be prepared while you're appealing the final decision.
Yeah, and I think it brings up a good point that it's so important to get not just one, but several estimates, especially with fraudulent people coming through and overcharging and price gouging. So it gives you a better sense of, if you find something in the middle, I'm guessing that helps you decide.
It does.
Yeah, and it gives you some leverage maybe.
Well, it helps you with cost. What if one guy sees something the other? I don't know. I just feel like when you get different estimates and different people to look at it, it's gonna make you more prepared and educate you.
Yeah, and like you said, people want to get back into their house as fast as possible, but it's probably more important to, like you said, document everything, make sure you're getting good deals, and make sure the job gets done right. So it's hard to be patient in these matters, but patience is probably a real virtue when it comes to these types of disasters.
Right. I think it's a balance. You have to kind of know how quickly you have to be patient, but at the same time, don't be too patient either. I mean, you don't want to go without hearing from somebody or make progress.
Yeah. And then, so once I file a claim, I'm having the work done. How does payment happen? When can I expect, to see that?
Now, there's no exact time frame about payment. It's going to be after the adjuster comes there, after the claim is approved. Then you need to know, do you have a mortgage company or is your house paid off and the money's going to come to you? If you do have a mortgage company, there's a high probability they're going to want to be involved because there's a mortgage on the house, and they want to make sure that if the insurance company is paying you $15,000 or whatever that number is, they're paying you to repair your house. They want you to repair the house. So the mortgage company could be involved in that as well. And of course, the insurance company is going to want to make sure you do the repairs to your house because that's what they're insuring. They're insuring this house.
Right. Yeah. No, and the mortgagee definitely wants to make sure that they're taken care of as well. So yeah, that's a good point. And that does complicate it and usually require endorsements and things like that. So yeah, this has been really helpful. I can't thank you enough for this. I think this is something that we can have on standby anytime something happens, unfortunately, that comes with living in our area. Is there anything else you feel that the audience needs to know about? Please let us know.
Yeah, well, when I talk about insurance, I will often just kind of remind people what the purpose of insurance is for. Insurance is to be there in case something unexpected happens, in case an accident, something uncontrollable happens. Insurance is there to make you whole again. It's not there to make you less than, and it's not there to make you more than. It's to make you whole again. And insurance doesn't cover wear and tear. And I think a lot of people, I kind of compare it to like tires on a car. If your tires are worn out, they have 30,000 miles on them and you're losing tread, the insurance company doesn't pay for new tires. Well, that's kind of the same thing with a house. If you have maybe old plumbing and that's not to say, the freeze didn't cause plumbing issues. That's not what I'm saying, but just trying to give some clarity to people to help them understand what insurance is there for. It's for the unexpected. It's not for wear and tear. So sometimes there's some issues with claims because it's that separation isn't always clear or easy for people to understand. I would also say a reminder, the insurance companies are still working under a COVID safety provision. And I think that may slow down things a little bit, unfortunately, because they still are having to practice safety measures. But hopefully that doesn't slow things down too much. And I think you already mentioned contractor fraud. So just be careful that, whoever you get bids from, someone doesn't come knock on your door. Chances are if they're knocking on your door, they may not be legitimate. You can always check the Better Business Bureau. You can check references, check online reviews, just to make sure that they're legit.
Right.
They're legit people. So,
well, again, thank you so much. This has been so informational. I hope everybody gets what they need out of this, and thank you. It's been very, very.
I do too. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. If you need anything, let me know. I'm here to help. Whatever I can.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.